Hello and welcome to yet another edition of Cats Whiskers TV. On this week's show we'll be looking back at both Panthers' weekend games against Dundee and the Sheffield Steelers for a change. We'll also be having your hot topics once again, including one about match night presentation, and then we'll be looking ahead to the games that are coming up this weekend. But first, as ever, it's Paul Baum with the news.
I'm Paul Baum, and this is what he should have called the CWTV News. Revealed, the only person Dave Sims hasn't insulted yet. Coventry find a way to control Mark Lefebvre. And Doug reacts to Steelers' recent form. And that was the CWTV News.
Paul there with the news, and he joins us here as we're going to talk about Panthers games over this weekend. We'll start with the Saturday night thriller against Dundee Stars. So a bit of it, but I mean, Stars came into the building with 12 skaters and they did what they had to do in order to try and win the points, and they very, very nearly stole them.
Well, they did. I mean, at the end of the day, like you say, they did come with a plan, and us as the home team, you know, it's up to us to break them down, and we struggled. So I think full credit to the Stars. They were very unlucky not to get a point at least from the game, but credit to the Panthers. You know, we kept banging at that door and eventually we got through, but it was a tough game. It was one of those games, you know, a team, look, Dundee, you know, they've done fantastically well this season so far, so to get something from the Panthers would have been a bonus really, and would have helped them in their weekend. But I think you do have to give credit to Panthers, because in those type of games, you know, you can lose focus, you can lose control, you can get very, you know, angry, and you sort of lose the momentum to a certain degree. But you need a bit of patience, and you know, well, thankfully the quality shone through at the final 3 minutes. So, but no, I mean, it was 2 points at the end of the day.
I mean, I know a lot of people do bang on about being entertained and everything, but for me, the 2 points will always come before being entertained, and Panthers got the 2 points, so job done as far as I'm concerned.
Well, yeah, you know, you don't get any extra points for being entertaining. Like, you don't get any extra points getting a shutout. It's nice. And do you remember the days when goalkeepers celebrated getting shutouts? Yeah. All Kowalski did was pick his water bottle off the net and just chuck it towards the bench and wander off. Bless him. That's because he's used to doing it. But
to be fair, he'll not have many easy ones. I mean, he only faced 14 shots, and I think the only real threatening shot that he had was straight after Lynn Loynes had put Panthers in front. Dundee found themselves right in front with the puck. Shot, Kowalski made a fantastic save. He was really only called upon for that one stave, but he produced it. Well,
that's the job, isn't it? You know, just to, you know, and sometimes it can be like that. I mean, they got 12 skaters. They were never going to come and play an open flowing game. They came and they did exactly what they had to do for 57 minutes of the game. And I think it's difficult against teams like that who, you know, well, they couldn't come with a lot of ambition or anything, and they knew what they were doing. You know, we say this time again about teams, but they know what they were doing. They were very protective of Bakala. You know, I think they've been watching Russia in the Olympics. Anytime anybody went near the goal in the whistle, that was it. Their elbows were up, they were pushing, they were shoving. But apparently they were doing that against Hull the other week, last time they were there as well. But maybe that's what Derek Campbell didn't like. I don't know. But what I want to say as well, you know, you don't like to single players out really, but I want to talk about Lynn Loynes and how much he's been getting a lot of important goals. I mean, he got the game winner Saturday night, opened our account Sunday. He got that. He scored the equaliser in Hull, not Ryan scrambling in after. So, you know, he's hopefully coming into a bit of form now after a difficult season for him.
Well, you mentioned Sheffield there, so we'll move on to Sunday night's game. I got the webcast. You also got the webcast. Again, it wasn't a classic by any stretch of the imagination, but Panthers were by far the better team over the 60 minutes and deserved another win.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Sheffield, to be fair to them, they had a few chances, but Kwol stood tall and was the rock, really. And, you know, that just proves to me, you know, what we missed while Kwol was out. But, look, I mean, you only have to look at the crowd at that place, you know, especially from the away support. It's just getting a little bit tedious now playing Sheffield, and in a game that doesn't mean anything really. Look, I imagine, you know, both teams want to get second because, you know, that's what we're aiming for at the end of the day.
That's the consolation prize that's left, isn't it?
But you know, it's the standing's so close anyway that if you lose one game, it's not going to make that much of a hit really at the moment, because there's points to be won. But I think it was just a professional job by the Panthers. You know, I mean, the empty net goal at the end, you know, it just adds another goal, doesn't it? Really. But I thought we looked pretty solid. And like I say, you know, the Steelers had a few chances here and there, but for me, the Steelers, you know, they just don't look potent. You know, I wouldn't. If I was, you know, a team going in there, and I would be telling my team, you know, if we can get a couple of goals here, we could win. Because it's not like the Steelers are going to score 3, 4, 5. And I know people go, well, we beat Cardiff, you know, 7-1 or whatever it was, and that's a one-off to a certain degree. You know, if you look on averages over the last few weeks, they've not really been that potent. So, you know, I think the fact that we scored 3 goals, including an empty net, put us in a great position to win the game. And, you know, it's psychological for me, you know, maybe going into the playoffs, whatever that brings. It's about building the momentum, and I think that's what we're doing at the moment, so full credit to the guys.
I think the thing that was very pleasing for me was over the weekend, we only conceded 1 goal, and the defence has been much maligned this season, I think, but they really did their job this weekend. They restricted Dundee to only 14 shots, only conceding 1 on the road in Sheffield, and that's a great performance, and especially at this time of the year when, as Aaron mentioned, you need that momentum. This could really give them the spark that they need.
It could be key, and I think Werner coming back has been a very big proper. You know, he brings so much quality to it. Oreskovic, I think, is still, to an extent, he's still finding his feet, but he's getting better. But going back to what Aaron was saying about team talks, I don't think Nielsen needed to give him one.
Oh yes, of course. So you're referring, of course, to Saturday night, where Neil Abel on the Steelers website, and tweeted out by Steelers official as well, that they were going to take no crap from Nottingham. How did that work out for you, Sheffield? Not too well, did it? Not too well at all.
Yeah, I mean, in this day and age where information like that is so readily available, you've got to be so careful about what you say. And, you know, and all this is coming from an ex-Panther as well.
That is very true. Yeah.
Unfortunately, it was dreadful 20-odd years, 30 years ago. So God knows how he managed to keep playing as long as he did. But I'm probably just writing one for them now, aren't I?
Yeah.
Boop. Talk to him.
Yeah. That might be, though, you know, there might be ultra motives to that, you know, get the crowd, maybe get a few more bums in the arena when, you know, we've played them so many times.
Well, there was 6,300 there, so they had a reasonable crowd, and considering there was not many from Nottingham there.
No, I mean, and maybe that, you know, it's, you've got to try and G the crowd up some, you know, they've had a pretty bad season, you know, there's a lot going on there, and maybe that was just something to get the crowd involved and get more people in, like I say, but it's all tittle-tattle, innit? I can't imagine the Panthers would have taken anything from that, you know. It's, I don't think Corey and Strax and the team are built to listen to that sort of stuff anyway, so it falls on deaf ears anyway, so, you know, the only people that they're impressing are their own fans at the end of the day, so...
Yeah. Okay. Well, of course, there's the Sheffield view on things as always. Here's Scott Antcliffe.
Hi there, back from the Steelers game, resulting in a 3-1 win for the Nottingham Panthers against the Steelers at the Motorpoint Arena. So yeah, these games this season between the Steelers and Panthers haven't quite been the same. They've lacked that intensity, they've lacked that passion, that rivalry, what we've had, and I don't know, it's not been good to watch. So I wasn't really optimistic before the games. It didn't seem like a normal Steelers-Panthers game. I wasn't excited. I've not been like that for a couple of years now between the two teams. Never mind, that's a different story for another time. So yeah, Panthers, pretty even first period I thought between the two teams. Steelers went ahead first. Rob Dowd, his 21st goal of the season in the 10th minute. After a Tim Spencer point shot, Dowd tipped it in from the high slot. Nice goal from Dowd. Panthers levelled about 6 minutes later. Lynn Loynes, he was in a slot, good wrist shot, beat Doyle block aside. Pretty good finish from Loynes for his 11th goal of the year. Second period, Panthers got a goal early on. Lee Salters used his strength to outmuscle the Steelers D-man, I forgot who it was, behind the net. And you could see what Salters were going to do. The good wraparound though, to be fair. Nice goal. But we just got outmuscled too easily. And Salters is such a valuable addition to the Panthers team. Because he uses his size well, he uses his strength well. He gets in front of the net, he'll get those garbage goals. But the Steelers haven't got a player like that. We lack that kind of player who's going to get into those nitty-gritty areas and get those hard-nosed garbage goals. And then after that goal, Steelers were just subdued. It didn't seem like we were bothered. We weren't winning those 50-50 battles. The intensity and the work rate dropped. And then after that, Panthers just sort of, hung on and basically took the win. Then Rob Farmer, empty net goal towards the end, killed it off. So Panthers took the win 3-1. The only bit of excitement from the game was the fight between Jason Hewitt and Rob Farmer. And Rob Farmer getting his first ever fight win there. Sort of got the better of Hewitt. Farmer dominated early. Hewitt come back late. But I don't think many of Hewitt's punches troubled Farmer because of the reach advantage. But fair play to the two guys for going, and it kind of showed a bit of passion and a bit of rivalry, what we've sadly lacked, I feel, for these last couple of years. So now, obviously, league's done with. It's all about sort of finishing as well as you can do in the league to get a good playoff seeding spot. So we'll see. Steelers against Panthers again on Saturday. Panthers have seemed to have got our number now after Steelers had it earlier on in the year. Panthers are going to sort of carry it on, I reckon. So we'll see. But should be an interesting game on Saturday down in Nottingham anyway.
Hi, I'm Tom Norton and you're watching Cats Whiskers TV.
Going to look at some of the results from last week in the Elite League. Aaron, what would be your result of the weekend?
I'm going to go for the 1-0 win for Dundee on the Sunday against Hull. I think, obviously to come down here on the Saturday, then travel back up to Dundee for the Sunday against, one of the best, if not the best, most clinical, forwards in the league. I think to get a shot out is really a good sign of their character, to be honest. And I think the coaching staff will be very pleased with that. So I think that's a great result.
I mean, I can't imagine there's many in Dundee who thought they would only score one goal over the whole weekend and still come away with 2 points. So you're right. I mean, it's a hell of a performance, and they still only had 12 skaters again last night, I think. So, a character performance from the stars there. Paul, yours?
I'm going to go for the 5 overtime win in Cardiff. It's very tight at the bottom, as we know, we talked about before, and that's scoring with 10 seconds to go. That could be a massive point for Cardiff. Okay, Fife beat him in overtime, but that 1 point could be massive for them.
Of course, for me, Belfast, again, the juggernaut moves on. You think they may lose some momentum, but absolutely not. They came away with another 2 great victories over Coventry Blaze, but all seemed to kick off at the end of the Saturday night game with Mark Lefebvre, I think Mike Egner and Ashley Tate all getting chucked out. But for mouthing at the referee, which is a stupid thing to get chucked out for.
It's not like Tate to do that, is it?
No, I'm quite surprising him, because you wouldn't expect that of him. He doesn't do it. He's never really known him do that before.
Yeah. Very, very quiet on the ice. Doesn't talk to refs much at all. But did Lefebvre think he was still playing?
Why is that?
He went on the ice.
Well, true.
To remonstrate.
Yeah, there's a door at the side, Mark. You can use that if you want to. But yeah, well, so at least he's showing a bit of passion, which is probably something that has been lacking from the Blaze this season.
Really?
Looking at the table, so of course we've got Belfast way out in front there, but the interesting section is really from 2nd down to 9th, and I can't see that being fully sorted out until the last weekend of the season. It's so close. When you look at Sheffield on 52 points, 5 on 40, just 12 points separating, 2nd to 9th. It shows how close it has been, apart from really Belfast at the top and Edinburgh at the bottom.
Well, yeah, it's been a 3-tiered league, hasn't it, really? Belfast on their own and Edinburgh, like you just say. But, I mean, this is why everybody's going on about, playoffs and all we could play. It doesn't really matter at the moment, to be honest, because, like you say, it's not really going to be sorted until, the last weekend of the season, possibly. And the thing is with that as well, I mean, who would you rather face? Because it's that tight. They're realistically, any one of those teams on the given night can beat the other team, and I think that's what we've seen this season, and that's why it is so close. I mean, me personally, I do think your top 3 that we've got there is going to be the top 3 come the end of the season. I fancy us to take 2nd personally, but I mean, me and Paul said a few weeks ago about whether Fife would get in that last playoff spot, and I believe we both said no. I think with Cardiff, but Cardiff, they had this fantastic run, but they just seem to be. I know they've missed a few players, and you have Matty Myers missing through suspension for 3 games is going to hurt you. But Fife are really flying. Excuse the pun, but. I thought you said I couldn't do puns this week. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that, but that's going to be tight. That really is, and it's exciting. It's exciting for the fans, and exciting, to see what's left of this season. Really,
we had a lot of tweets from Fife fans, basically saying, they for another 4-point weekend. I think they've won 6 on the trot now. They've got a massive game against Dundee in midweek. Win that, and they're only 2 points behind Cardiff, 4 points behind Coventry and Hull, and that's putting some real pressure on the teams above them.
Yeah, I mean, Cardiff will be able to feel them breathing down the neck now, and sometimes, when you've got a team like Fife that's got the momentum behind you, if you're not careful, you can be concentrating on, looking over your shoulder almost. The game against Dundee, is that in Fife? I think it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you go it. The Fife fans will be ready for that one, and we're not allowed to do. If we're not allowed to do puns, I'm probably not allowed to do cliches. But they could be the extra man. You know what it's like going in and playing in Fife. If they smell that that 8th place, that final playoff place, they'll be going for it.
The thing is, as well, they're doing everything that they can possibly do as well, and that's all they can do in that position. It's then up to Cardiff and even Coventry maybe, and Hull if you look at the league, to really slip up. But you have to give credit to Fife because they're pushing. Like I say, they're doing everything that they can, and that's all you can do. And if it doesn't work out come end of the season, then you can hold your hands up and say, do you know what? We did everything that we could, and that's what, like I say, that's what's exciting for me, is the fact that they're going for it hell for leather, and it's whether Cardiff, Coventry, and Hull can really stand up to that pressure.
Yeah, Fife win all their 3 games in hand. They're level with Hull. They've got 3 games over. Hull. I mean, all right. Everybody always says they'd rather take the points, but. It's all to play for.
And I'll tell you just one thing quickly, and we might talk about it when we talk about the hot topic, but do you know what that will benefit is the conference system.
Yeah.
And the fact that they are still fighting in between in between all the teams for that title, and that's where the conference system works.
Yeah.
And that will play benefit to the rest of the season come your Fife, your Dundee and your Hull, where they finish, because they've still got games to play for that mean something, not just the playoffs but the title. So
because I mean, effectively with Belfast winning both the league and the Erdart Conference, that Gardner Conference is second seed for the playoffs. You know, it's a great carrot for them. Okay, we'll leave it there for the moment. Before we move on to the hot topics, we've got a few announcements on behalf of some of our fans. First of all, Katie Chadburn, the Panthers official photographer, and who also provides some photos for the show. You've seen on the graphics for the league table and the results. She's having an open mic night here at the Bunkers Hill Inn on the 14th of March, hosted by yours truly as well. Tickets are £3 and they are to help Katie go to Tanzania to do some important medical work, so it's for a very, very good cause. Tickets are very limited, so there's only 100 available and they are selling quite fast. If you are a band who would like to take part, or if you would like to order a ticket, please get in touch with Katie or Panthers Blogspot. Their Twitter addresses are on the screen now. Also, a good friend of mine, David Spence, who's a big Panthers fan, he will be taking part in a half marathon this coming Sunday. Proceeds available for Haywood House. His Just Giving address is on the screen now. Now, it's quite remarkable about David because he actually lost 10 stone in order to take part in this half marathon, so an absolutely incredible effort by him over the last 2 years, and he will be taking part in his first half marathon, so please show him as much support as possible. Finally, the Nottingham Lions have 3 home games left of their season in the Laidler Conference of the NIHL. They've got some special ticket offers for their 3 games that are coming up this Sunday against Solihull, on the 14th against Blackburn Hawks, and also on the 30th of March against Hull Jets. Panther season ticket holders can get in free of charge, and if you are a child, you can get in for free with a paying adult, so get down and support the Lions. We're going to look at some of the hot topics you sent in. Thanks once again for sending them in such great numbers. Starting off with the Bunkers Hill, who's asking about the success of BBC coverage of Olympic ice hockey and will it spawn some interest in domestic leagues. And I think that's interesting because there was an awful lot of new faces that I've not seen before in the crowd on Saturday night at the NIC. 5,500 in attendance for what was pretty much a dead rubber league game, which is a phenomenal attendance. And I think the popularity of showing the Olympic Games on a national terrestrial broadcaster has probably spawned some interest.
Yeah, it will do. I mean, you know, I think something as big as the Olympics does in any sport, whatever sport it is, and I think, you know, the commentary that was provided by Seth Bennett and even Brent Pope was very good. And I think what people missed the point of, you know, it was people were complaining, saying, "Oh, they talk, you know, why are they telling us things that we already know?" And you have to think, well, we know ice hockey. You know, the majority don't, and so they have to adapt to that. But you know, so I think they helped make it a success. Will it, you know, bring interest into domestic leagues? It will do, yes. But the biggest question is how long for? You know, will these people come back, you know, again and come back next season? That then falls onto the actual domestic league and how they promote it, how they, you know, I mean, if it's a decent game, then you're more than likely going to bring them back. But there's ways in to try and get them back in. But yeah, it's going to bring success at the beginning.
If you think about last weekend, there was the game against USA and Russia, which was an absolutely brilliant game of hockey. And I was reading, so I think it was on Twitter, I was reading that there was well over 1 million people watching that game live on a Saturday afternoon, you know, that if they're watching that, it's an entertaining game. They may want to see if there is a game in their local area that they can go and watch.
They will. But Aaron's right. It's all about now how the clubs market it. I mean,
you've got to keep them coming in. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, we've seen Panthers have been saying they've had some interest and been telling people it's better live than on TV, which they're probably right about. But that wasn't the greatest advert, was it? But it's going to happen.
But if you don't know any better, and let's face it, they know people coming into that game on Saturday, never been to a live game before. They're not going to know any better. They're not going to know what's a good and a bad game. So
lucky them.
But that's where possibly the club would say, well, it's a whole package. So yes, it's the ice hockey, obviously, because that's what they've come for. But then it's the experience that they have while they're at the game. You know, there's 60 minutes of hockey that you watch, but you're there for more than 60 minutes. So it's, from a club's point of view, it's more the experience. How do we add to that so you do come back again? And I think that's, you know, Paul's right. It's how the clubs market it and how. You know, clubs can do it on their own, but as a league, you know, how are we going to market it as the elite league? You know, how are we going to draw people into it so we get better players? How are we going to do it so we get more funding? How are we, you know, there's areas that you can do it. The Olympics are sort of giving you the platform. It's how you build on that foundation.
Okay, moving on to the next one. This is from Off the Blocker, who asks, so if the problem wasn't Big Doug, what is it? And I was like, well, how long you got? I think it's. They've got rid of Sheffield, sacked Doug Christensen. Has anything changed?
We've got a different coach. It's one of three things. It's the players, it's the organisation within the club, or that black ice around the back of the nets. It's more likely to be the first two, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I would probably agree with that.
But you never know. But chances are it's the players. The change didn't work. Okay, they beat Cardiff. They beat Braid, I think, with their backup in because Carl Jones is injured. But they can't. You know, they haven't managed so far to beat us since then. And hang on, two straight losses to the Panthers. Isn't that a time for a change again?
Yeah, so the coach. Aaron, what do you think?
Look, you know, it's how many games has it been since Doug left? 4, 5 maybe?
4 or 5 games, yeah.
You know, Doug got, what was it, 29 or something like that, or 39 I think it was. Well, they made the decision. My personal is, you can change the coach as many times as you want. You know, I think you have to look maybe a little bit deeper into issues and problems there. I think it'll be actually an off-season and pre-season to watch for the Steelers, because I think you might see a few players leave, and I personally think that's possibly what's needed. I don't watch the Steelers, you know, I watch them when they play Panthers, that's it. So, you know, I'm not the best person to ask about that, but I just think, you know, there's players there now, and I think if you read Steel Talk and you talk to a few Steelers, they're now coming to the point of where, you know, even some fans are going, even Jeff Legui, he's had his day, you know, it's time he moved. You know, some of the Brits they're talking about that they don't really want back, and I think there'll be a bit of player movement there, and maybe that's when you'll see whether, you know, the coaching was the issue or was it the players. But for 4 or 5 games you can't really judge it on whether Doug was, you know, the problem or not really.
What would you do? Would you leave Gertson in charge the rest of the season? Or I know they were talking about bringing a player within 10 to 14 days. We're practically there now. You know, do you give him the rest of the season, or do you still make that change?
Well, Gerard Adams' testimonial in Cardiff is Tuesday night.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Yeah, there's a fan forum at Sheffield on Wednesday. Now, it's very easy to put 2 and 2 together and come up with 5. It always is. However, I personally will be very, very surprised if Gerard Adams is not the new coach there before the end of the season. I personally think that would be a mistake. I think they will be better off sticking with Gertson and Abel to the end of the season, and then having the off-season to think about it properly and probably pick a new coach.
The media statements will be more fun. If they keep able.
That's true. That's very true.
The thing with that is, if you're Adams going in there, I'd want a 1.5 year contract. Unless it's
Doug got 2.
Unless it's financially, a gain to give you 6
next season.
Yeah, exactly. To give Adams, because it's a tough job to go in there with, where I don't know, but players might be on rock bottom confidence. The club, most of the fans have even written off this season. Even with the playoffs yet to play for, it's a tough ask for somebody that Adams has got a good reputation in this league. There's a lot of, still love there at Cardiff for him. Is he risking his reputation if he goes to Steelers and it doesn't work out? If it doesn't work out, are they going to say at the end of the season, well, do you know what, it is now time we want a fresh start? It's a tough one there, and I think Adam, if he is going to be the new coach, I think it's got to be on his terms. If I was him personally, I think he's got to play hardball here and say, if you want me, then I've got to have a bit of insurance here. I've got to, it's got to be worth my while, because otherwise you risk, like I say, wrecking a reputation which is quite solid at the moment with fans from other teams as well. So it's going to be an interesting week, and I'm sure we'll cover it on next week's show.
I'm pretty sure we will. Final one we're going to look at, and we opened this up to everyone and Twitter exploded for us, was from Antoine Marijon, Marty Powers, who people may know from Panthers Hockey Live. He says, if there was one thing you could change about match nights, what would it be? Now, as I said, our Twitter has been absolutely inundated once we open this out, so you'll see so you'll see a few tweets going across the bottom of the screen. Thank you very much. So, Paul, if there's one thing you could change, what would it be?
Use the scoreboard better. We underutilise it to an embarrassing level, frankly. There's so much more they could do with that if they thought about it. They'd never need to read an advert out again. Stick it up on the screen. We went to Cologne all those years ago. They got the big jumbotron. Did you hear them read a single advert out? No.
Well, I don't know if they did, because I don't speak German. So.
They didn't. Yeah. No. Why, when we scored a goal, isn't the goal scorer's face on there? So I'm just realising I'm waving my hand about in front of the camera. It's not a very good idea. They could have the face up there.
Well, I mean, even Sheffield's got an excellent jumbotron and do that, and also referee signals as well.
They've got 3/4 of an excellent jumbotron.
No, it's full side. Shows how long it is since you went.
It'll be as long before I go again as well, I tell you. Not even my money. But there's so many opportunities with that we're missing, and I'm only allowed one, aren't I? So that'll have to do. I could be here all night. First 3 hours, Cat's Whiskers. Somebody else have a go.
Okay. Aaron, your one thing.
It might be very small, but do you know what annoys me sometimes is how quiet our intro music is. And I know that's very small, but depending on sometimes who we play, you can hear the fans of the opposition over our music.
Yeah.
Now, for me, the intro is something that gets your hairs on the back of your neck. It gets you really fired up as a player coming out. The music, it's tension building, and for some time, well, it's a tension building type track. So, for me, it should, that should be as really pumping out and really, put not fear, but because they're professionals, but really make it
intimidating.
Yeah, exactly. And drown the opposition fans out, because I'm not being funny, but if I'm skating out to my home and I can hear the opposition fans over either my fans or even the music, that's not right in my eyes.
Well, I think going back to Cologne again, when they came out to AC/DC Thunderstruck, and every time
they came through a massive shark's head.
That's
we want an inflatable panther's head. Yeah. Neil Black, if you're watching, we want an inflatable panther's head.
Well, Paul,
but also as
you don't.
I don't know.
Everything. As the thunder, like flames coming out and everything. It was, and there was no single announcement. It was like here come the clone sharks in German, and they came to Kona Higher, clone sharks.
A bit of German.
Some teams do that. All the teams skate, here are your Coventry Blaze or whatever, and then the whole team skates out, and you don't necessarily get the. I mean, I know there's like you would have seen tweets, but there's not much that I wouldn't really, and like people have mentioned about the skaters in the first break. Now, for me, that's paying homage to a certain degree to our skating history as a city, and that's giving back to the city and to young kids, like those the young ice skaters that come out, and the young ice hockey skaters from the Tigers and stuff like that.
But it gives them the chance to perform in front of a big crowd as well. It's experience for them.
Their future possibly, Nottingham Lions or Panthers players, and they're playing, they're probably who they look up to, the Laccos, the Nortons, the Weavers, even the imports. They've just played on that ice. So for me, that's not necessarily about us as a crowd. That's about giving something back. So I quite like that.
Yeah, I don't think we have the kids playing hockey on enough.
No.
With all due respect to the kids that they have on skating, it gets to the point where you've seen one, you've seen them all. But and it's a hockey crowd. I understand why they're on there. It's a bit of variety. It is that Torvill and Dean heritage.
Yeah, exactly.
But I want to see the kids on more.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I think the kids, you see the crowd, and most people's faces light up when they see the kids skating out, because it's good to watch. It's fun to watch. I mean, me personally, I'm not a big fan of these like chuck the pucks on the ice and stuff like that. That's not for me personally. I don't think it's just not for me. I get Coventry
join in anymore. Will they?
Coventry do it. Belfast do it. For me, I don't see that as a Panthers thing personally. I think from an organisation point of view, we that's not what we do. It's more about the heritage of the skating.
Going back to your scoreboard thing, from what you said, I would actually expand that a bit more and have things like coach interviews, player interviews up on there, highlights, or even in between periods, you speak to one of the coaches, the opposing coaches, like they do on Premier Sports.
You're angling for a job again, aren't you?
Show clips of this show on the scoreboard. Well, I mean, why not?
All right,
okay, maybe not. But you're right. There is so much they could do. They could market that far better than what they actually.
Hang on, I'm struggling here. I've just pictured you on a however big those jumbotron screens are in that T-shirt.
Oh God! Yeah, forget it.
I mean, I think there's. Well, yeah. To be fair, Sheffield, I think they do a good job of how they utilise their scoreboard, but. That's a club point of view, really. Of making those clips, putting together the packages to showcase. It's more time. It's not something that you can just flick your fingers and you've created. It's going to take somebody to film them, to create them, and then to finalise them and put them out there. So I don't know, maybe it's something that they might think in the pipeline, and you don't know. You'd have to get a club official to answer that, really.
One of the main ones that came through was about music, though, and of course, music is very much a matter of opinion. But we've got one from.
Nobody likes hillbilly rock.
No. Stop it now. But we've got one from your lad Joe Bottom, contextual music, and
did he spell it right?
Yeah, I think he did. Yeah. And I think that's a really, really great point, because we don't seem to use it enough. When incidents happen, I've seen it at other rinks where they've obviously got a laptop, they've got it set up, for the right piece of music at the right time. So I think we mentioned in the car coming over, Saturday night's all right for fighting if a fight comes on
a Saturday night.
Yeah, David Clark scores Play Glad all over. I mean, is David Clark number 5? Is it only me who sees this? But Yeah, I think it's right. I think it just adds to the match night entertainment.
I think as well you can use it to poke fun at other teams. I mean, didn't when Tessier returned with the Steelers, wasn't it about every song with the word money in under the sun?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it can add, because the music should be there to add to the atmosphere, to build and create an atmosphere, not just to be the next song off a list. Oh, that one's popular, we'll play that one next. You know, we've had situations where we've gone on to the power play late in games where we're behind, where we're equalising, and something gets put on because it's on the list. Whoever creates the list, I don't know, but it's the next one on the list, and the mood just drops. Whereas it should be something to a situation like that. You want something to get the crowd into it, even more than they are they can be in situations like that. The music is so important to getting the crowd in. I'm getting wound up again, aren't I?
Yeah, I think.
Go on.
Yeah, no. So I was going to say, I think a bit more rocky music than we seem to have. Not Rocky the film, as in rock. No, not that ever again, please. But just more rock music. Yeah.
To be a bit controversial here, then you say more rock music. Mm. If there's more new fans coming in that maybe aren't to ice hockey, do they want to hear rock music? Because I know ice hockey
in the right context. I'm not talking all the time.
I'm just playing devil's advocate here, and I think maybe it might be worth, if we, speak to Ken and get his opinion and speak to, and get, he's. I know he doesn't do the music, but he does the announcing bit. I'm sure he'll speak to, which I believe is Steve, who does the music, and see whether they might have they might get told what to do. They might not. There might be something. I mean, look, at the end of the day, they reacted to Pope. They played music, for his hat. So I know that got the crowd in. I mean, I think for me, and I'm probably in the.
Overused, I think.
I might be in the minority to go, taking the mick out of somebody.
Do it once.
What does it really achieve to us? I know it gets the crowd in and it gets some laughing and stuff like that, but I wouldn't like to see it to the point of where it gets used too much and then it becomes a laugh on us. Because I think that's what we do well. I think we're professional. We know what's right when it's right. And there's other teams out there that don't, and just make themselves look an idiot and shoots themselves in the foot. So I wouldn't like to see that from a Panthers point of view, but like I said, I think it'd be good to get Ken on it and see what he says.
Well, we'll say we will try and we'll contact Ken and get hold of him and see what he's got to say. But thank you very much for sending all your tweets in once again. And if you've got anything that you want to add to the show or tell us about, or any hot topics you would like us to discuss, please send us something via Twitter. Our Twitter address is on the screen now.
Hi, I'm Rob Lakovich and you're watching Cats Whiskers TV.
We're going to look ahead to Panthers games coming up this week, starting on Wednesday night with a home game against the Coventry Blaze. Blaze not in the best of form at the moment, but with an 8-2 victory over Edinburgh on Sunday night, so we'll come in with a bit of confidence, but difficult one to call because they're always niggly games, I think is the most politically correct way of describing them. But it should be a good one for midweek.
No, I agree. I think the coaching change that they made a few weeks back has brought a bit of spark into them. They brought a bit of fight into them. Look, at the end of the day, they lost against the Elite League champions, so it's no disgrace in that. Apart from that, good old Marky's had a bit of a good record. So I think it'll be a good game. Actually, I think there'll be a bit of fire there, like you say, a bit of feistiness, which I'm all for, to be honest. Tough one to call. I mean, you could maybe go overtime, possibly, to be honest, but I think we'll edge it. But don't get me wrong, I think Coventry, they'll score a few goals. They've got some good players there. Jinan, the Henriks, even Wilson's doing all right there since he's been brought in. I think it'll be a good game, but I think a Panthers win for me.
Saturday night, of course, a game against Sheffield, because we've not seen them for a while. Well, Sheffield again. Fifth, I think we're looking at it's the 6th time in 5 weeks, the 5th time in 21 days. It is probably a bit too much, but it is what it is, and it'll probably be a sellout.
Just watched last week's show. I've really got nothing more to say about it.
I mean, we've beaten Sheffield a couple of times since Doug was unceremoniously booted out. So I would honestly expect us to win that game. Because Sheffield can't be going into that game with a lot of confidence. Have it with the last couple of results.
No, but then I suppose it depends if there is a coaching appointment in the week leading up to it. Because I'm sure if there is, there'll be a little bit more, spring in their skates, shall we say. I honestly don't think it'll be a sellout personally. I just can't see it. I think it'll be a good crowd, but a sellout, I'm not too sure. I'm going to go, I think it'll be a Panthers win. I think we have got a bit of an edge over them, and it's a big ask for somebody to come straight in and face your fiercest rivals and try and turn the tide, because like you say, we've beaten them a few times now, and I think the psychological edge at the moment is just with the Panthers, and I think at home I think we're going to want to carry that on, and I think it'll be a Panthers win.
Sunday night sees a long trip up to Dundee to face the Stars. Last time he was there in September, a 5-2 win for the Stars, and well deserved it was as well. That's not going to be an easy trip. It's
a big game. What we've got to make sure we do is that we try and win against Coventry, we try and win against Sheffield, just to keep that momentum, try and get some of that momentum going, to take into that game, get a bit of confidence, especially in the forwards. So I don't think that's quite there at the moment. Hope the defence play tight, Kowalski has a good game, and if those come together, then you've got to hope that you win.
And I suppose a lot depends on what happens on Wednesday night as well. Of course, it was announced that Boxhill and Benedict picked up injuries over the weekend, so I suppose it depends how serious they are as well, and whether they'll be available for the games this week. Well, we will be reviewing those games on next week's show, but thanks for joining us once again, and we will see you next week. Goodbye.